Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to join us to learn a little bit more about automation. Today we're going to cover Automation Nation, and your presenters are myself, Chris, and Jennifer Henquinet. And then we also have on our support team our favorite Josh, Jennifer Siegel, and Greg Schmidt, who you can see in our lovely picture. As far as our interaction, just like before, we're going to have everybody on mute, so you can't actually say anything just yet. But we also are going to have you be able to send chat messages via your screen. So those of you that are familiar with our GoToMeeting connectivity, you can just put in chat messages and send us your information. And at the end, there's going to be a survey, and we like when you send survey results about things that you want to see in future upcoming webinars or future training opportunities, or get more information on the information that was presented in our webinar today. So what are we going to learn about today? Today we're going to talk about PDF input filter, a very cool tool to handle large volume PDFs. We're going to do automated indexing. Wouldn't be an Automation Nation webinar if we didn't have something that was completely automated. And then we're going to step it up one more notch with intelligent automated indexing on steroids. And then we're going to cover a few of the free automation tools already leveraged within the OnBase solution. You might be using some of them today, but you may not be using all of them. And these are ways to streamline your processing to make it easier both as an administrator and for the end user. And of course, we're going to cover some last-minute OnBase news as it comes fresh off the press. And with that, I'm going to turn over the discussion for PDF input filter to Jennifer.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone. We're going to start this off talking about PDF input filter. In the last few years, a lot more documents are coming out of your third-party systems as PDFs. And with that, OnBase has come up with a solution that can very easily ingest these documents into your OnBase solution. So with the help of the cold module, you can process and index and store your PDF documents with very little interaction from your users. The results are faster, quicker, and less chance for errors in the indexing process. The files are automatically separated, classified, and indexed. So there's a couple different ways you could do this. You can have individual PDF documents. So say you have invoices and each is an individual PDF document. You can bring those into the system and it will separate them and index them based off how you configure the where the index values are on the screen. Or if you have one very large PDF that has, say, 30 invoices in the one PDF, this system will go ahead and separate those documents for you based off configuration that you set up. So that way you don't have to, if you were to put this in, say, scan from disk, you would have to go ahead and separate all those documents, where PDF input filter does that for you.
Wow, Jen, that sounds an awful lot like cold.
Well, it does use the cold interface, Chris, along with the PDF input filter module that needs to be purchased. If you already have cold, all you would have to do is add on the PDF input filter. The configuration is done straight from the FIT client, and it is also a point-and-click configuration. So you basically just have to highlight the areas that you, like say your invoice number is always in the same place, so you just have to highlight. There's also tagging that comes with PDF input filter. And tagging will allow you to say, anytime I see the word invoice colon, the invoice number is going to precede that, and I would like that to be this keyword. So with that, we're going to look at some of the, talk about a little bit of the processing of PDF input filter. As we've already stated, it is brought in with cold. the documents can then be parsed or separated, so or separated into separate documents. Each document can be classified by document type. So as you will see with the demo that I'm going to present later, you could have a file, a PDF file, that has invoices and credit memos, and it will classify the credit memos to the credit memo document type and the invoices to the invoice document type. So therefore, there's even more that it's doing for you without you having to interact at all. And then these documents will then be indexed based on the information contained in the document. So we are pulling the keywords off the document. Now, you can go ahead and pull all the keywords if that's what you would like to do, but another thing that you can also do, which we leverage here within our organization, is we just pull off one value or two values, and then we use an autofill to populate the rest of the information. So if there's a possibility that some value might change, maybe somebody's name or something, you may want to just pull in the Social Security number and allow the rest of the information to be pulled from an autofill, such as an external autofill, so that data is always correct. And as I said, I will be doing a demo at the end of this towards the end of this presentation, and I will show you exactly how that works. So in summary, why add PDF input filter to your OnBase solution? The point-and-click configuration is very easy. It allows you to handle very large documents, volumes of documents very easily. It automatically divides large PDF files, so you don't have to manually sit there and separate each document, which would save you a lot of time. It reduces data input errors, so as long as the data is clear on the PDF, it should be able to pull that in easily. It's faster availability for your users of the documents, so you could schedule this to happen at 5 o'clock in the morning, and when your users come in, all their documents would be into the system already. You can also schedule commits, which we will talk about later, to commit these documents, just as you can with cold. And it's a great solution for you if you are bringing in large numbers of PDF documents. It's very, very helpful in ingesting those into your OnBase solution. And now we're going to talk about automated indexing. Now this is relatively new. I think it came out in 8.2 and has been revised in the later versions. Now this allows you to automatically index or extract values such as document types, document dates, keyword values directly from the document. So basically you wouldn't have to input these values, but it's still using the scan and index technology. So it consists of two equally powerful functionalities. There's the automated indexing, which pulls the values, and then there's the point and shoot indexing, which allows you to select an area on the document to be processed where you would be able to find, say, a keyword value or a document date. The configuration for this also happens in the Fit client. It's not configured through configuration, although you do have to set up the scan queue to use automated indexing. And then once you scan in a batch of documents, you will be able to configure that straight from the scan and index Fit client. This does leverage OCR technology, so each document will be OCR'd when it's brought in through scan and index. licensing. For each automated licensing workstation, you would need to have an OnBase client license, so a workstation named or concurrent, and then one of the following, either an ad hoc automated indexing license or an automated indexing license. The ad hoc automated license allows you to do the point-and-shoot indexing as well as the automated indexing on a document. And then the automated indexing part allows you to do the point-and-shoot as long as, and the automated, and also allows you to do some ad hoc automated indexing on batches that are in the status of automated indexing. And if you're looking to initiate workflow from this, you would obviously need a valid workflow license also. Now, the features for automated indexing. It allows you to be able to use this automated indexing engine to bring in values and see how accurate that information is. So you can set up thresholds for these documents that say, okay, I want a confidence level of 70% on, say, the Social Security number. So if the system is not 70% confident that that is the number that is pulling in, it will send it to indexing and progress, and then you will need to index on that for that document. Also, a nice part about this is when you go to set it up, if you know that you want to be pulling in a Social Security number, for example, and you know it's always going to be numbers and punctuation, you can say always look for numbers and punctuation marks and not to look for lowercase letters, uppercase letters, and stuff like that. So you can, which I will show you, you can minimize what it looks for so that you have a better chance of picking up exactly what you were looking for. It also does optical mark recognition, so you can pick up marks on forms if you have, say, checkbox for certain things. It also has signature detection, so it won't actually be able to pull in the signature because that is handwritten text, but it can recognize that there is actually a signature and detect that there is actually writing on there, and you can use that if you're looking for, say, knowing something was signed or having information that something was signed. They are looking at getting more into being able to recognize more handwritten text, but and hopefully we'll get more of that in the future, but currently that is not part of automated indexing at this time. And I will be showing you a short demo on that so you can kind of see how that's going to work a little bit later. So in summary, it's the point and click configuration again. It handles TIFF documents and PDFs. It has the ability to set confidence thresholds, so you can verify how confident you are and make sure that it's pulling in the right values. You can capture OMR and signature detections. You can reduce data input errors, so you don't have users inputting incorrect information because it's pulling it straight from these forms. And it'll be a lot faster. You don't have to input each of the values. So when a user is looking at your batch of documents, they may only have to index one of the 20 documents because all the other indexed correctly based on the thresholds you've set up. Now with that said, we are going to turn it over to Chris, and he's going to talk about intelligent automated indexing.
Wow, thanks, Jen. I like to know that my PDFs can be processed in very quickly, and I can have them automatically bursted apart, just like my cold process is today, and that I can use automated indexing to expedite all of my processing for my TIFF images as well. And now I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to take it to an intelligent automated indexing. This is really quite new. It actually started in 9.2, although it really didn't show its face until 10.0 with the Unity client. So that's the first time that you'd be able to use intelligent automated indexing. And what it does batch indexing using OCR, just like with automated indexing, to be able to recognize documents, so it classifies the documents, and then extract their keyword values. And the nice part about this engine is it uses a training set to identify what the document is, and then just like with automated indexing, you point and click configure it, and then you tell it, based on documents already existing within your OnBase solution, what to find. So the fantastic part is you're leveraging what's already in your solution to be able to determine all their future scans and bring in those new documents, and then have it extract that information for you automatically and do the full indexing. So you can completely bring in documents without having to do anything more than leverage what's already in your system. So for licensing, obviously you need to get an intelligent automated indexing license. And this is on a per server basis. Now most of you would probably only need one for your solution, but as you grow and you leverage this for more areas of your business, you may need to add more servers, because obviously more volume will equal more processing time, and you will need to add on more servers. And to access the intelligent automated indexing configuration, that's done through the Unity client. So you also need to get a Unity client server license. Now, we've shown you the Unity client before. I know you've seen it through Island's webinars, and you've seen it at OTTC and many of the other conferences, so we won't show you that part right now, but you know what it looks like. Simple point and click, the new ribbon bar, fancy. And of course, last but not least, you have to have a way to get documents into the system. Now, we all know you have those, whether it's disconnected scanning, or whether you're doing a document import, or simply using any of your document imaging processes to bring in documents, whether it's a scan from disk or production document imaging. It leverages that license to bring in new. What are some of the important features and differentiators? Well, obviously, one of the big things is you get the accuracy and the verification of your results. And just like with the automated indexing, you can set up a confidence threshold. That confidence threshold is very important to ensure that you are getting the accurate results. Now, there are, of course, many factors that come into play about getting accurate results. It doesn't all just smoke and mirrors. You have to have good, clean images to start with. And how do you get good, clean images? Keep your scanner under maintenance with us to help keep it clean and fresh. Clean it every day. Make sure you're scanning in at 300 DPI. And then also you want to go through and when you bring them in, verify the image quality prior to it going into processing. Because obviously a dirty image with a whole bunch of speckles, this can be oftentimes difficult to determine if it's a B or if it's an A. And some of the other factors that can come into play is if you are setting up, say you have a social security number and you set it up to be alphanumeric, well, that can be tricky because of the 8 and the B scenario, or an S and a 5. So anytime you can be more specific on your keyword values, for example, numeric, it will make the determination for OCR much faster and much more accurate. But you can set your confidence threshold to ensure that those values are completely accurate. So for example, when Jen mentioned that we use one keyword value to set off an autofill keyword set, we want to make sure that that value is 100% accurate. So we might set our confidence threshold quite high on those to ensure that they are correct and don't grab inaccurate data when it goes through the autofill process. Now here's a screenshot of what the Unity client looks like. Of course, this should look familiar to everybody because I know you've been on our webinars before and seen this. And that little button in the upper right-hand corner is our intelligent automated indexing, which is what we've clicked to get to this window. And you can see we've got a couple of batches. Those are training jobs. Now on the left-hand side, you can set up a brand new training job, and then you can see you can pull in documents from your existing system just by picking a document type group and a document type. So pull in those documents, and then you can click Preview Training Set and be able to configure your intelligent automated indexing job simply by clicking on those buttons. So a very simple configuration. Now once you create your job, this is what it looks like. And you can see that in this case, we've got multiple layouts. So you can literally number them just like you did with your keyword values now, where you have layout 101, 102, 103, as many as you need. And you can see that it's going to go through and do a classification. What kind of document is it? And you can see it gives you a preview of what that document is underneath the name. It also gives you an accuracy percentage for the keyword values that it's pulling. And if there's common keyword values between them, it can distinguish some of those values, as in the middle one for 102. You can see it found vendor medical equipment supply Inc. So you can get some numeric values associated with each one of the training sets, and you can also see how many documents are in there. And if you have some that aren't performing up to your expectations, you can edit those to be able to get better results, or you can delete it and start over. So completely configuration, point and click, very simple to leverage all of the configuration needs for intelligent automated indexing via the Unity client. So why would I want to get the intelligent automated indexing? What differentiates it or makes it better than some of the other ones? Well, obviously, the big differentiator is that you have the ability to set up these train based on the existing documents of your OnBase solution. All the other solutions require you to configure it, process them in, and see if it works. This one actually leverages what you have in your system today and then shows you what the results are. So you get instant feedback on that. And of course, just like with some of the other solutions, it's point and click configuration. You get to set up those confidence thresholds to be able to determine where how much of a value you want to put onto each individual field. And it does the OMR and signature detection, just like automated indexing. And you want to get this because it does reduce the data input errors that end users have, because even the best inputters make errors occasionally. Not Jen, but everybody else does. And you want your users to get those documents faster. So the only way to do that is by automation. And you can obviously handle larger volumes of documents without adding personnel, which saves money and makes management happy. So with that, now you've learned about what PDF input filter can do for you, and automated indexing, intelligent automated indexing, and those of course are all add-on modules to your existing OnBase solution. Now we're going to talk about some of the various free things that you can do to make your administrative life much easier and your end user's life much better, simply by leveraging some of the tools existing in your OnBase solution today. So the first bit we're going to talk about is import. Obviously, you bring in documents, which is what we've been talking about basically the entire morning so far. And there's some checkboxes and some things we can leverage within scan queues that will make life much better. Obviously, the first one is an automatic commit. Literally, just by doing a checkbox, if you don't have any QA process in place, and you just let them sit in a waiting commit, and you wait just for someone to manually right-click on the badge and say commit, you don't have to do that. You can save a lot of time, and obviously get documents processed through more quickly if you do the automated commit process. There's a checkbox on the scan queue that lets you simply check, and it will, as soon as the batch is available into a waiting commit, it jumps to committed. Now this process does not work if you are using indexing in the web client. The web client indexing will still put it into a waiting commit. So how do you get the ones that are sitting in a waiting commit to automatically process? You can simply right-click on the scan queue and say Schedule Commit. And then you can have a process running either as a Windows service or as an interactive Windows window, which many of you have running right now today, to do the Schedule Commit. So that ensures that all of your batches get processed in a timely fashion. And remember when you have to set how many batches are in uncommitted or are in processing? You can completely get rid of that by having them be auto-committed or scheduled commit to reduce the number of batches in that processing window. That way you don't have to jump that number up to a very high number. So scanning. There's a whole bunch of new features that came out really in late 8.2, but it wasn't until 9.2 that they got a little bit better. And of course in 10.0 and 10.1 they've enhanced them even further. And the first one is this whole image processing. They've added, as you can see, a lot of functionality for you that can auto be performed. So on the scan queue level, and we're going to show you some of this in the demo coming up, you can literally click a button to auto perform image processing, and all the features from annotating the images through convert to monochrome can be done automatically. So what are some of the features you can do in image processing? Well, you can annotate images. So some places like to have imprinting done, and they have their scanner set up with ink to literally print on the page when it was brought into the system. Well, with a simple little script that can be added in, you can automatically annotate your images to add the date and the time that the image was scanned into the system. You can also do color dropout. So you have a green line form and you don't want the green to be there. You can have that automatically dropped. You can convert your documents to image file format. So simply by leveraging the VPD, or virtual print driver, you can have all your documents that come in from a scan from disk operation that are maybe PDF, Word, Excel, saved out to a file folder. They get scanned in and automatically get converted to image files. So that way you have one standard format within your OnBase solution. You can automatically separate documents on blank pages, although I know most of you are leveraging either a barcode or other processing for that, but that could be done in your image processing. You can also do some image enhancement. Now, you don't want to do this if you're already leveraging Kofax VRS to enhance your images, but let's say you've got a small scanner up on a front desk or a registration area, and you don't have that, and you have a scan queue set up for those users. Simply turn on image enhancement here and let this engine clean up those images and make them the best they can be. It's not as robust as the Kofax VRS engine, but it does add some image quality enhancements to your solution. You can also do some batch splitting. So maybe you have some indexers. So you've got centralized scanning, and you've got some indexers that are in different departments, and you have your images coming in. You can have them split off into, say, by document type, to other areas for them to index. So batch splitting could be advantageous if you've got dispersed indexing but centralized scanning. And last but not least, you can convert images that are color or grayscale to monochrome. So if you don't want to have large image files sitting on your system when disk space is kind of important to you, or retrieval times are important to you, you can have all your images automatically converted to monochrome. So if your users accidentally or override what is being scanned in, say, by color, you can ensure that for that scan queue that it is always brought in via black and white. Now, last but not least, like that little guy looking off into the future, you want to know sometimes when something's about to happen or when there's some problems. You can set up in every scan queue a warning level. And those warning levels could be anything from how many batches you have sitting in awaiting commit, how many batches you have sitting in awaiting index. You can set it up for each one of them to be send an email to either an individual or a group. It has to be one email address, but you can obviously be a group email address, to warn you of when you're getting too many batches in those queues. So it gives you that as an administrator an automated way to know that my system is having a problem. Either somebody's not doing what they should be doing, or perhaps a process has stopped and I'm not getting my scheduled commits to run when they should. So another great little tool to ensure that your system is running optimally. Now, as we mentioned before, indexing is important. So you can do it automatically with PDF input filter, automated indexing, or intelligent automated indexing. But you can also leverage the free autofill keyword set, as we mentioned before. That's what we leverage internally. And autofill keyword sets they can either exist internally to the OnBase database, so you can store your values from a CSV file from a third-party system in the OnBase database itself, or you can leverage a SQL statement, for example, to go out to this third-party solution to pull values back. So whether you have a CRM solution, perhaps you have an accounting solution like Great Plains, you can leverage a SQL statement to go out there and, based on the primary keyword value, retrieve all of the basic index values back. That ensures that all of the data is accurate and you have consistent data across your organization. And again, that's a free tool that you can leverage within your OnBase solution. And any of the import processes or workflow processes can expand those autofill keyword sets to ensure that you're getting all the values on a document. Now for the client, we've got some free client tools that some of you I know are using today, and some of them you may not have even ever heard of. So the first one is auto-display keywords on retrieval. So if you go to retrieve a document, you can of course know that you can right-click on it and say keywords and see all of the keywords on the document. But maybe you want to actually have the primary keyword, whether it's Social Security number, account number, automatically display when a document's open so that the end user doesn't have to do those actions. Simply by checking a box on the keyword value itself, you can say auto display, and it will automatically pop up for the end user without having to do any interaction. And that same functionality is available on notes. Oftentimes users don't notice, like in the web client, for example, they may miss the picture, especially if it's down on the page, or if it's in the middle of a document, or at the end of a document, or they might not notice on the bottom little bar, the status bar, where it shows you how many notes are on the document, where you can double-click and open up all the notes. Having it auto-open, you can see the entire content of the note without ever having to do anything, streamlining the process for your end user. And of course, we all know about auto-name strings. Those are important on your documents. They've gotten a little bit more important because a couple of things you can do, of course, is add, if you want to have an attachment to an email via PDF, you can leverage that auto name string to be the attachment name. So rather than having a cryptic, what looks like an alien name on top of your PDF that oftentimes people think are suspect and are afraid to open because the naming convention isn't very normal, you can have a full auto name string that has meaningful data automatically brought up. And obviously you want to avoid sensitive data like Social Security number and email attachments. So that auto name string makes life much easier and affects more than just what it looks like in the hit list. It affects things like sending emails. And of course there's multiple areas where you can auto folder. All of you have foldering available to you already today. Some of you may be leveraging it within your HR solution or other places. You can leverage that from workflow, from any import process. So taking advantage of an easily point-and-click configuration that you already have available to you, you can have all your documents be foldered for you automatically. Now these next two features are both workflow features. One is an auto-select next document. So when you're configuring your workflows, if you go in and you select your scan queue, which we will show you, you can simply check one box, and what it does is it leverages the auto-select next document. It will show your user the next document sitting in their queue. So that way they don't have to go over and do any additional clicking, and they can expand because you can undock your workflow windows. You could actually have it automatically pop up that next document within their primary window, so they don't have to go back to the document screen and pick the next one. Plus they can't do any cherry picking, so it'll automatically just go through and grab the next one on the queue, which is kind of nice. And the auto feed is a very similar feature. However, what it does is it takes a look in the queue and says, what's the next one to be processed? It's kind of that first in, first out functionality where it automatically will feed it to the next person, so like a call queue, and that next one that comes up will then be locked by that person. So they are the only ones that can process it at that time. And of course, based on security, you can override that and see all the documents, but it's kind of nice when you have a large processing volume queue and you have people that have to do ad hoc tasks to it, to when they get presented with it, that the next one comes up automatically and it just keeps feeding them documents to be processed in a very automated fashion without them having to be able to go through and look at a giant queue of, say, 100 documents. They'd be able to get fed each one and process that document, and if somebody has to override it, like a manager, they would be given that security and they could right-click and see all of them and grab the most important one at that point. So a very nice feature added to the workflow process, again, easy to configure in the scan queue, which we will show you in just a minute. Now with that, I'm going to turn over to Jen to show you some of these great features we've been talking about all morning in a live demo.
Thank you, Chris. There's a lot of great features that people can be using. All right. Well, we're going to get started. We'll start out with automated indexing, and then we'll go back to the PDF input filter. So automated indexing is at the scan queue level, you set it up to use it so that it becomes a queue for you in your scan queues. And we do that right here, automated index processing queue. You can see the intelligent is right below it, so this is where you would also select that if you wanted to use that. So once that is selected, when you bring in a set of documents into a queue that has that selected, those documents will then go to this awaiting automated index queue. So from here, the first time you would do this, you would want to configure this process. So if we right-click on this batch of documents, down here is an option to configure automated index. So we will go in here. Now it's asking us if we want to process the documents to see if it matches any existing templates. So this might take a while, so at this point I'm not going to do this because these documents have already been set up. So I'm just going to click no here. But the first time you do that, you would want to click yes. All right, so here's my document back here, and it's going to want to pick a form, or if we wanted to do a new form, we could do a new form. So this is actually the damaged goods report is the form. And as you can see, it has, over here on the right-hand side is the configuration. So it's going in, there's delivery receipts in here and damaged product reports. This form is assigned to the AR damaged product reports SIS group, or document type, I'm sorry. So these documents will go into that document type. And then it's using damaged good reports, which you can see up here in the upper right-hand corner, or left-hand, yeah, right-hand corner, to identify that this is a damaged goods report. So on some of the other forms, there might be goods receipt. And so it would say goods receipt, and that would be the identifier for, say, something going into the delivery receipt document type versus the damaged product report document type. So then from that point, you would just click. I'll show you kind of an example here. And we could, that's how we created the form identification zone. We selected that. But here we could say this is a keyword zone. So as I was stating before, you have the option to pick the search hints for each keyword. So if you were picking something, say, customer number, you probably wouldn't, in some cases, want uppercase or lowercase. And maybe there's no punctuation and no miscellaneous. So it would look for nothing more than numerals. And then we have the suspect level set to 78 at this point, which is the default. So you can change that depending on the quality of your documents and how important that is to you that that value be correct. So obviously you can see it did not pull up the handwriting correctly. You could see down here in the left-hand corner what it reads it to be. So as I said before, handwriting is still not done very well as far as OCR goes. The text written material is, or text printed material is much easier for them to, for the system to read. Here's your OMRs. So if you wanted to set that up, you would do that here. And here's that signature detection field. So you would do that here. And the sensitivity, you can pick if you want to go low or high, or how sensitive you want the system to be. So once we've set that up, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here because I've already set this up. We would right-click and we would perform automated index processing on this batch. Now it's going to go through and it's going to identify what form it is, and from the form it's going to determine what keyword values it needs to pull for the document. So once it has been completed, you can see it went to awaiting our index in progress. So if we double click on this, it's going to bring up the index screen of the documents that it was not sure of. Now, since this one is handwritten, it could not pull the purchase order number. So if we go ahead and type in the PO, I'm just going to go ahead. There's an autofill on here. So I'm just going to go ahead and tab, and you can see it pulled in it matches. Here's the customer account, 6557, chef code, and then the invoice number. Yes, we didn't put it on here, but through the autofill, that's what it pulled up. So then we could go ahead and index. And you can see down here that it says 1 of 2. So 2 of the documents that we brought in, it was not 100% sure of. Now, okay, I'm not sure why this is taking so long. So once it gets through this one document, and if since it says 2 down here, there's another document that it needs us to process. And once we've processed that second document, it will go to awaiting commit. And so there was, I believe, 15 or 20 documents in this batch, and we only had to actually index 2 of those. Yeah. Okay, so this one, it's a delivery receipt versus damaged goods, and it, for some reason, did not read the form correctly for this one document. So that's why it didn't know where to pull in the information from. So we will go ahead and just index it. And then if we go into awaiting commit, you can see there was many, many documents in that batch, and we only had to physically index 2 of them. So it saved a lot of time and energy to get that whole batch of documents into the system with very little effort. So now I'm going to show you the PDF input filter. Now, this is done through code configuration visual PDF. So you are able to see everything that you are setting up with the point and click configuration. So we're going to go ahead and view the file. Okay, well, for some reason, my file went missing. Let me see if I can quickly find it. Yeah, I can. We'll just use this one for this to show you this. I don't know, my other file went, but. So we're going to go ahead and edit the path, and we'll pull up this document. So here is an example that we can bring into the system. Here is where you would set up your process path. So just like you did, just like any cold process, it's set up basically the same. You can put them into workflow if you would like. Your advanced options. So this is just like cold. If you're using cold now, it's exactly the same. And so then basically, we'll right-click and we determine a document type that we want to bring this into. So, for example, I'm just going to grab I'm just going to grab PO for this example. So now it's going to, you can see that the other one that I had out here had 2 other document types. So then we're going to find something on this document, like say there's always going to be invoice number in this upper right-hand corner. So we're going to use that as the ID string. So anytime a document comes in with invoice in the upper invoice number in the upper right-hand corner in this location, it's going to say that its document type it belongs to is a purchase order. So then we want to go ahead and pull in the keyword values. So let's say we want to pull in this date as the invoice date. We highlight the date, and we do add a keyword range, and we are going to do, in this case, we're going to do document date. So down here, anytime you do something that is a currency or a date, you need to actually format that date. If you don't format it, it will not come in correctly. So we'll just put a separator here. We'll leave the leading zeros in this case. And so that is something you need to make sure you do anytime you're using currency or dates. Now, I'm just going to go back. If we look at the cold process, I called this one AP processing, so it's in here, right there. And when I went ahead and processed it, it brought in 3 vendor invoices and a credit memo. So go ahead and we look at the document. And then if we want to go ahead and look at the keywords on that document, you can see that it pulled in the PO number from down here, and it pulled in the vendor name, which was the sold to here. It got the invoice number from over here, and then it pulled in the dollar amount at the very bottom of the invoice, and then it also pulled in the date. So it pulled in all that information, and there was no indexing involved whatsoever. So you could then set up the auto commit and have this automatically committed, and then you haven't touched any of those documents and they've already been brought into your system. So now we're going to go and look at some of the free tools that Chris was talking about. You find these in your configuration module. From the scan queue, here is the auto commit batches. So you can go ahead and auto commit your batches as soon as they hit the auto commit queue from the scan queue. You can also set up the auto name. So they name them however you want them named. You can auto folder from here. And you can also do the auto perform image processing that Chris was talking about. And here is where you would set up that image processing. And once this is set up and you have that check mark on the auto process, then it will go ahead and do any of these things that you have selected in here, that you have created. So that's very helpful for getting more things out of your normal scan and index process. Okay. Here's where you set up your autofill keyword sets. You can have these as external, as Chris was talking about, or they can be internal. So you could have a file that comes in. Say you have a text file that has all of the information that you want in your autofill. You can, first of all, set it up here to include the keywords that you're looking for. And then through the normal client, you can go to autofill keyword sets management, and well, through the importer you can import them, but through here in management you could view all the values that are in that keyword set. So you can see if somebody says, well, I keep putting in this vendor number and it's not pulling up any information, you can go to this management here, and you can even select view search, and you can search on a specific vendor number to find out if that vendor is indeed in that file. If you have, 3,000 vendors, you probably do not want to view the whole list.
Where do I apply those, Jen?
You can apply those at one of two places. You can apply them at the keyword level. So if you want, anytime somebody uses a specific keyword, you want them to get that autofill as an option, you can do that at the at this level. You can set it up right here for autofill keyword sets, or you can set it up at the document type level. So by specific document type, under keyword types, in the bottom left-hand corner, right here, you can set up what keyword value or what keyword set you wanted to use. So there's several different ways you can do this, depending on whether you want it by document type or no matter when that keyword is used. And if you do it on the keyword level, that would work well. Well, you can use both of these when people are importing documents into the system. They can use those autofills also to fill that information. Oh, the auto display that Chris was talking about, you can set that right here on the keyword level. So that's going to give you a little box when you're looking at the document. It'll be towards the upper right-hand corner of the document, and it'll be a box that will show that keyword along with the value of that keyword. So if there's something that you always want displayed at the top, say you always want to know what the vendor number is, you can set that up right in the keyword type setting. Now the notes that Chris was talking about, we're going to look at this lovely green color one. If you look at the attributes, you can set this up to display note open. So if you have this checked, it will always display the note open. So it won't be the little icon that you sometimes see. It will be fully open with whatever information was entered into that note. So, and that is set at each note level. And so then let's look at the workflow ones that you can set up, and those are set at the queue level. So you can set these by queue for each individual. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to look at this one. And if we look at this queue, you can see right here where we have the auto feed documents and the auto select next document. So those can be set right at the queue level for your users, and then they will get either the next document or the document that they need to be working on. Okay. And here's the warning levels that we were talking about earlier, where you can set this level and then add an email address so you can be notified if you have too many documents or any documents. Sometimes something might go to a waiting or incomplete commit, for example, and you may have no idea until you go into the system. You can set this warning level, then your administrator would get an email, and that way you can be more proactive about your system and know where things are before a user comes to you and says, something didn't commit last night. You'd be able to see it first thing. Okay. We talked about the scheduling of the auto commits and the scheduling. So this is actually, we're going to show you from the scan queue level, but you can also do this in cold. From here, we would open up the scan queue that we want to schedule. And when you right-click in here, as you can see, we can schedule a sweep, we can schedule a scan from disk, we can schedule OCR, and we can also schedule a commit. So you can have either, if you don't have the scan queue set to do an auto commit, you can then set it to do a scheduled commit and have those documents committed, say, off hours when there's not a lot of people in your system. From cold, you would actually click on the process and then you would schedule it from here. So schedule format allows you to actually schedule the process, and schedule commit allows you to actually schedule the process of it committing. So those are both things you can schedule. You can look in your scheduler under schedule management here, and you can see everything that you have scheduled and how it's set, like what time it's going to run, how many times, does it run every 5 minutes, does it run once per day, and all the settings that go with each scheduled process. So this way you can do a lot without having to touch everything manually all the time and have everything taken care of for you. So now let's go back to the slides. So in summary, automating your processes will make life so much easier. As a manager of your OnBase system, you have a lot to keep track of as it is. And being able to just monitor stuff instead of having to manually do everything will make your life easier and that of your users also. You may want to think about expanding your solution to leverage some of these things if you're not already. PDF input filter, automated indexing, intelligent automated indexing. These tools are very helpful, and if you're not using them now, it may be something to look into for future in your solution. And if you have any questions with the free tools that are already available, I mean, feel free to give us a call or contact us, and we can help you with trying to get those leveraged across your organization.
Some of the last-minute OnBase news. Of course, OnBase 11, as you know, is going mobile. So they've actually pushed out compatibility with the Android and Windows Mobile 7. So for those of you with smartphones with Windows Mobile 7, you want to, say, do some workflow ad hoc user tasks directly from your phone, maybe the golf course, the beach. That functionality will be available in 11. I know you're all eager to upgrade to that. And that's going to be coming out in June. And that's going to give you compatibility with IE9, which of course Microsoft is pushing hard to get in everybody's little hands. You can see it on every top of your browser when you go to like MSN. So that's going to be coming out in version 11, which should be available in June. And it's also going to support multi-browser. So for you Firefox lovers, you're going to get your chance to play with OnBase from Firefox. And just as a quick reminder, OnBase loves the new versions of VRS, so make sure you're keeping your VRS updated if you haven't. It's a good idea to make sure you keep that at the current level. The free level is 4.5 still, but you can purchase and upgrade to VRS Elite and all the great new functionality in that. Please let us know if you have any questions. You know how to get a hold of us at our 800-686-8789 or always support at Naviant-Inc.com. Some of our upcoming events. Of course, we've got June 27th through the 1st. We've got Advanced System Administrator Training. Most of you have gone through the first class. Now you can learn so much more, like all these automated processes in that second class starting in June 27th. And if your June calendar is full, feel free to come in later July to get your Workflow Administrator Training. Take advantage of all the new workflow features that have come out since going there. Or if you want to go core-based workflow and you want to learn about that, July 25th through 29th is your time to do it. And our next webinar will be July 21st, featuring all these great new features in OnBase 11, so we can show you the brand new web browser live and in person. Thank you everybody for your time today. It's been great working with you guys. If you want to learn anything more about the tools that you found today as far as pricing or adding on those solutions for the PDF input filter, automated indexing, or intelligent automated indexing, you can contact Wendy Crockett directly at wcrockett@naviant-inc.com or call us. We'll be happy to help you out with everything. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.